Om Kamakhya Kama Sampanne Kameshwari Hara Priyem Kamana Dehi Me Nityam Kameshwari Namostute. Welcome everyone. In the last video, we spoke about that Kamakhya is a boon giver and what is the energy of Kamakhya. And I told you that as a boon giver, we will also understand how Kamakhya has expounded herself in that area as 10 wisdoms, 10 Mahavidhyas, and how she brings about creation. To understand this, we will first look into some basic concepts and then we will move into the Mahavidhyas as a topic. We know as a scientific fact, the research has been done that everything that we see, we touch, we perceive is energy. At a molecular level, atoms combine to form molecules. Molecules combine to form cells, cells combine to form organs, and organs combine to form human body. So, typically everything that we see as matter is a combination of these energies, these life forces that have concentrated itself to form a shape or to become matter. Same formula, same method of combinations and permutations is applied to human body. It is applied to anything that we want to touch, see, or experience. Let's say that, for an example, let's assume that we want a house or a car. A car can only be purchased if we have money. Money comes from paper. Paper is a form of money. So paper is something that we need, also an energy of working. At the same time, the paper, the money, the representation comes from plants. And if we deduct plants, plants eventually also are formed with life prana, or to simply state, atoms that we see. Now, these permutations and combinations that we see of energies is basically alchemy of energies coming together to form a certain shape. And that process is manifestation. The process of bringing these forces, these life forces together and creating something is manifestation. If we look at seeds, we have one seed, we plant it, it grows into a plant or a tree, it bears its fruit, and then again we get seed from it, right? So there's a process of formulation, there's a process of dissolution, and then again formulation. This is the process of manifestation. Now, every time these energies gets concentrated, they gets combined, there is a center or energy vortex that has been created. Okay, two energy forces come together to form something, and that energy when combines, it creates a vortex where these energy points are meeting, and these energy vortex hold certain frequency, certain characteristics, certain vibration, and according to that vibration they have a certain nature. In context of human bodies, these vortexes or these energy centers which are combined to form a human body are known as chakras. Okay, so if you would have a background of chakras, you would understand that each chakra is responsible for a certain part of the body. They are responsible with certain color, they are designated with certain energy, they have a certain characteristic. Okay, so whenever the energy gets combined, there is a vortex being formed. And the alchemy of manifestation into materialization, the process of manifestation into materialization, is to find the right combination of these energies and bring them into our system. Okay, there is a step way process that we follow and different manifestation processes have different ways of doing it. But there is a characteristic that we want to inculcate, and that characteristic is a resonant frequency or a resonant vibration to our goal. And when we inculcate it into our energy, it becomes a part of us, thereby us attracting that goal or that manifestation, let's say car or a house, into our life. Kamakhya, as a boon giver, when we work under her grace, when we work under her energy, she brings about certain changes. What are these changes? These changes are the changes of emotional patterns, mental patterns, physical patterns, and energetic patterns. When these changes are brought in our life and we accept them and embrace them, slowly we see that we move a step ahead into our manifestation and goal, eventually realizing that manifestation and goal. These shifts in mental patterns, emotional patterns, physical patterns, and energetic patterns are guided by 10 wisdoms. These 10 wisdoms are known as Mahavidhyas. And these Mahavidhyas, if you see, Kamakhya is the only Shakti Pitha that has expounded itself into 10 Mahavidhyas along with herself. Because she is a manifesting energy, because she is a boon giver energy, it is very important for her to also show how creation works. Because she's the womb, she's the energy that creates everything. She has expounded herself to explain that this is how I create. And these energies are depicted as Mahavidhyas, or the goddesses that control a certain characteristics. Now, how do we work with Mahavidhyas to inculcate these characteristics within us and achieve our goal? Is by, in that situation, in that context of our goal, we need to learn a specific lesson, imbibe that lesson, and whenever we learn a lesson, the energy also tests us. So you pass the test, you learn the lesson, and as you learn, your chakras or energy vortex gets upgraded. When that upgradation happens, you unlock another key. Okay, and that unlocking will take you to another step, another wisdom that you need to achieve. And when we collect all the required energy requirements for us to achieve a certain goal, the goal comes into a reality. Now, question is, does manifestation and this learning and this working with goddesses of 10 Mahavidhyas as well as Kamakhya is one-time process? No. Because your goal gets keep refining, our process of learning through these wisdoms that Mother has expounded in also gets refined, and we keep learning bigger lessons. Is it to understand it clearly, we will take a step back and look at a plant again. A seed, when put in a soil, we have only one seed, and it grows into a tree, giving us fruits, and that one fruit might have multiple seeds. Eventually, we observe that the whole plant that we have grown from one seed has multiple seeds. So, in the process of one manifestation, we learn certain lessons. These lessons stay with us, and we permanently upgrade our life, permanently upgrade our energy. Once permanently upgraded, we are capable enough to go to a higher level. That is a choice for us, or we are able to create multiple energies at that frequency, at that same level. Because now from that one seed, we have created multiple seeds. So either we can plant a new seed in a new vibration and move up, or we can choose to stay in that vibration for some time and experience all the fruits that we are receiving at the same vibration. Technically, if you ask me, I would recommend that always keep upgrading yourself one after the other. This is not the process of chasing. Because in chasing, you will become anxious and you're not learning your lesson. It is the process of attracting. You only attract when your energy from inside upgrades. When that energy upgrades, automatically things will come to you. Now, the process of evolution, the process of moving forward, comes from 10 wisdoms or 10 sources of Mahavidhyas that Kamakhya has expounded herself. And tapping into that, their energy help not only a soul to evolve, but also to change the environment around us. Okay. For ease of understanding and correlation, because we are working on manifestation, although everything in this universe is created with the same law, we will explain or understand Mahavidhyas in terms of human body, because the goal is to inculcate their energies within us so that we can upgrade our life, we can evolve better. One of the most important things that to notice in this is a certain wisdom or a grace once inculcated from any starting point. It doesn't mean that you have to start from top to bottom, because we will move the energy from top to bottom, or you have to start from bottom to up. The beauty or the magnificence of this wisdom is you start at any starting point, any one goddess or any one feature. It will eventually take into that complete cycle. It will take you to the different forms of wisdom. It will make you learn those different lessons, hence materializing your goals. Now, the divine feminine energy that we see, the divine feminine energy that we talk about, is abstract in nature. Similarly, how Divine Father or the Supreme God is, they don't have a certain form and shape. These forms and shapes are created for us to understand them better. So Divine Feminine, and I will post a presentation or a chart here to explain you better. The Divine Feminine energy that is abstract in nature comes down and manifests itself as the first energy, which is Mahakali. Now, Mahakali is a goddess that is transcendence. She has transcended already, which means that she is the goddess of liberation, moksha. Okay, there is absolutely no attachment with her. When we work with her energy, she takes us off the attachment. She controls the consciousness completely. She is the ruler of consciousness of any form, any consciousness, anything that is living or anything that exists as matter in this world is a consciousness created into a physical matter, and that is being controlled by Mahakali. Mahakali is also a goddess that really helps us work with Saturn very well. She controls the Saturn energy, and Saturn is a planet that kind of reflects Mahakali's energy very well, because it is about learning lessons, because it is detaching. Both the planetary iconography or the planetary stories that we have heard about Saturn is very similar to detachment and creating your independence, and that is what Mahakali also represents. Mahakali is also a goddess that takes us away from limitations. She breaks every limiting concept that we have in our system. And when you're facing a lot of obstacles, when you're facing inner conflict where you cannot find yourself getting out of your comfort zone to take a bold decision, Mahakali is the fierce energy we tap into. She represents infinite because she is the first primal source that has been manifested from divine feminine energy. She's closest to that abstract form, so she represents infinity in nature, and she resides in Kumbhaka. Now, what is Kumbhaka? Kumbhaka is the gap between our inhalation and exhalation. There's a very minute gap that is known as Kumbhaka, and in yogic practices, we try to increase this gap because we want to experience the infinite potential of our soul, of our body. And by experiencing the Kumbhaka more and more and increasing that Kumbhaka, we kind of experience Mahakali within us. She is also when we work very closely with Mahakali, she is also the one that provides us the right knowledge to achieve samadhi and liberation, because she is all about detachment. From that divine source or the abstract nature, after the first manifestation comes the second manifestation, that is Tara Devi. Now, Tara Devi, if you see the iconography, she's a younger version of Mahakali with a pot belly, hair little kept, there is a scissor in her hand, and Tara has two polarities, one Ugra and one softer. Whenever we are starting to work with Tara, the best way to approach her is to start with the softer Tara. What does Tara do? Tara is a transcending goddess. She's the one that prepares you to achieve liberation. She is the one who prepares you to reach Mahakali, the infinite energy, the infinite source, where nothing is impossible for us. So she is the one who provides us the right wisdom to achieve that infinite aspect or infinite potential of ours, which is represented by Mahakali. She is in process of transcendence. She's also the one that rules Jupiter. Why? Because to achieve the infinite potential, we must find ourselves in a situation of expanding ourselves. And Jupiter is a planet that represents expansion. So she is a goddess that works very well with Jupiter's energy. She helps us expand our horizons and find new areas to explore, new ventures to get into, new lessons to learn. She's also known as the higher Saraswati, the Saraswati that manages our instinctive knowledge, instinctive wisdom that cannot be written, that cannot be read or learnt, but can only be perceived by our soul. And that is why a lot of yogis that share this knowledge, for example, this session, the session came to me in my inner wisdom. It came to me as a knowing. And then I went to Kamakhya to spend a week exploring that concept and validating every concept on my body. Tara is also the one that, because she's in the iconography, if you see, she's represented with a scissor. So she's the one which cuts our detachments. If we are detached way too much to a relationship, if we are detached way too much to a situation or a place and we cannot move out and we are constricted, she is the one who will help us expand out of that situation by cutting our attachments. Where does she reside? She resides in silence. So a lot of people who work with Tara's energy, they prefer to stay in silence. They prefer to be quieter, because it is the silence where we can experience Tara. It is the silence where she can come to us and give us knowledge. And that is why she is the Saraswati that comes through inner knowing, because she gives us the wisdom while we are meditating, while we are in silence and just being with our soul, with our thoughts, with our emotions, and introspecting. Because she controls detachment, she's the one that manages detachment. She's also the energy that helps us purify a lot. She removes karmic problems. She releases karmic blockages for us to receive the right purification, right energy to experience that liberation, to experience that infinite energy that we want to tap into. The third manifestation is Tripura Sundari or Shodashi. Now, if you see this, there's divine source, divine infinite feminine source, and from that infinite feminine source comes one Kali, then Tara, and then Shodashi, forming a triangle which is downward. Now, this is unmanifested, the energy that is not in matter yet. The divine feminine energy is still not into matter. It is still somewhat abstract, but has been manifested in form of inspirations, in form of knowledge, in form of light and wisdom. And they reside right above our head. This is where our crown is. This is where this energy gets activated. This triangle is also formed within the human body, within the human brain between the optic thymus gland, pituitary gland, and pineal gland. Highest forms of yogis that we see, they have these three glands between, which is in the center of our brain, connected, forming a divine triangle of light, which represents the connection between Kali, the connection between Tara and Shodashi, forming a triangle. The third goddess, Tripura Sundari, the third apex of a downward triangle, Tripura Sundari, she is the one that controls the body, the mind, and the soul. She is the one that resides in the causal chakra. She controls the body, mind, and soul. And she's known to give beauty that cannot be experienced otherwise. What this means is she gives us beauty from inside and out. Your eyes will get deeper. You will penetrate the person's soul, and the person would not be able to avoid the attraction towards you. That is what Tripura Sundari is. Tripura Sundari is also the goddess that helps us achieve Tara. How? By giving us 16 valuable Vidyas. There are 16 forms of Vidyas, 16 forms of higher wisdoms that once we work with Tripura Sundari, she imparts us, which makes us ready as a disciple to achieve Tara, to go to Tara, so that we can finally cut off all detachments and slowly transit into complete liberation. Now, Tripura Sundari is also shown as a younger version of Kali, which is beautiful and magnificent. She has a pretty smile. She's a young girl in her teenage, and it represents that how young or old the soul is. If you really try to tap into the wisdom that you hold within, you can achieve liberation. You can achieve whatever highest potential you consider for yourself. Once we work with Tripura Sundari is the goddess that brings highest form of shift in mental reality. What does it mean? It means that everything that you see and experience in this physical world is how you perceive this physical world. And when we work with Tripura Sundari changes that perception. Hence, the world we live in changes. It's like there is a saying that once you wear a red glass on your eyes, the whole world will become reddish. It will be tainted with red. So Tripura Sundari gives us the right lens to look at the world. Now, this is where the energy is still abstract, the above triangle. And from here, the energy comes down as a physical manifestation, the first physical manifestation. And this goddess resides within the top of our head, which is the crown chakra. The petals of the crown chakra, most beautiful, most magnificent, and the goddess that has created everything in this universe, Bhuvaneshwari. Bhuvaneshwari is the ruler of matter. Everything that we see, she has created it. This Maya that we see, that the Maya or the illusion of matter and space and time that we see is being created by Bhuvaneshwari. She rules over it. And her correlation, to understand her, is simplest way to understand the crown chakra. What does Bhuvaneshwari give us? Bhuvaneshwari prepares our body, mind, and soul. She prepares us for the right situations around us to enter into the domain of spirituality. She is the spiritual goddess. Although she has created this Maya, she's the only one that can take you to a place where you can see and understand that this is Maya. This is not me, or this is not that person. It is the illusion that I am living in. That ability to see with that objectivity comes from Bhuvaneshwari. Bhuvaneshwari is also a goddess that gives us everything that is in matter. All goddesses give, but Bhuvaneshwari has a capacity to give us everything in matter. because she controls over it. That is her energy. The next form of goddess is a little wrathful form, which comes down from the crown to our forehead. Okay. A lot of texts represent it at Ajna, but I think she resides at the forehead. And this is the message that I've been given in my meditation, that she resides actually in the forehead. And that is Yogini Bhairavi. Yogini Bhairavi is the goddess that controls time. And that is why she is known as Yogini, because she's the one who has surpassed the experience of time or experience of space in correlation of time. For example, if I ask you, where are you sitting? You will say that I'm sitting on this sofa right now. This experience of this space happens because you can perceive the time as it is. She's the one that transcends us from time. She's also the energy that helps us create legacies, because she drives us from an inner will, a higher will, or the soul's purpose. Very wrathful in nature because she sits at the will center. This is the strongest will that we can use, which is connected to the higher source. And she is very stern in nature. She brings things into action, the action into result. Very straightforward. She is the one that tells us or guides us into a spiritual process which is very disciplined, which is very regimented, because she believes that the more we put efforts in a regimented, concentrated, disciplined fashion, the results will come faster. That discipline energy comes from Bhairavi. She's also the one that helps us see beyond time. So if you are interested in psychic abilities, if you're interested in tarot readings, if you're interested in predictions of people or astrology, Bhairavi is the goddess to work with, because she opens a third eye. She helps us become Trikaldarshi, which means that you can see what has happened in the past, you can see the present, and you can see the future. The three kalas are now for you to experience and perceive at the same time. That is the energy of Mahabhairavi, the fifth wisdom that resides in our third eye. The next goddess from there comes down and manifests into our throat. Extremely powerful goddess, represented as very brutal, Chinnamasta. Chinnamasta is the goddess that is represented as Divine Mother slashed her throat. And there are three streams of blood coming out, one going to two other yoginis and one in her mouth. This represents that the three streams represents the three nadis within our system, and it represents that once we cut our ego, that is when spiritual awakening, liberation, enlightenment can happen. So Chinnamasta is the goddess that cuts off ego. And ego is the biggest thing that stops us from growing. Ego is the biggest thing that stops us from learning our lessons. Ego is the biggest thing that holds us in attachments. So Chinnamasta is a goddess that breaks it. And why she resides in the throat is because she also is the energy. She's also a goddess that controls ether. Ether is basically the vibration or the energy. And throat is where our connection from the top chakras and lower chakras is cut off. That is why in yogic tradition it is asked that you roll your tongue back and attach it to the palate so that the connection is rebuilt. And Chinnamasta is a goddess that tells us that this is a valve. If we can open and crack this, I mean open in the sense, if we establish a continuous connection with the lower chakras and the higher chakras, we will observe that there is no block in us from experiencing and expressing our inner truth. She is the goddess that gives us the ability, the power, the fierceness to experience and express our truth without any fear. She is the expression of that creative force that is divine feminine energy. From the throat, the energy slowly manifests into our heart. This is the center from where we experience love. This is the center, and I consider this is the biggest center from where we experience and attract positive things in life. So, heart is where goddess Dhumavati sits. And Dhumavati's representation is again very scary, that she is old and she is wilted and she is sad. She's represented like this because she's the one who has sucked up, who has absorbed all forms of grief and devoted her energy to the disciple, to the sadhak, to experience happiness, joy, and bliss. And that energy of giving, that energy of sharing, helps us create a karmic account or a karmic credit to receive blessings in our life. And that is why Dhumavati sits in our heart, because she encourages us that open your heart for giving. Because the law says that when you give, you will receive. The law of cycles will be complete. So the moment you receive and you donate or you help other people, the help will come to you. The money that you have donated will come to you many, many times, because you have opened yourself from giving, exactly how Ma Dhumavati is ready to absorb the negative energies from our lives and ready to give us all the joy of the life that we need. And this is the most beautiful energy, because it actually allows us to experience true love and happiness from the things we procure. There are many people who have a lot of money, but they are not healthy. They don't have happiness. They don't feel the love in their relationships. Why? Because their heart is still shut. They haven't really opened up the heart. So the goddess that truly manifests love in our life is Dhumavati. From the heart, now the divine feminine energy comes down into our solar plexus. Solar plexus is at the diaphragm level. The solar plexus is our lower will center. It is also the center where we talk about self-respect, self-dignity. And this is where Ma Bagalamukhi sits. And if you would have noticed that people say that Bagalamukhi is a goddess that will suppress your enemies, that will stop your enemies. Why? Because, and she's also shown as a goddess holding the tongue of a demon and not allowing him to speak anything. Why? Because when we inculcate the energy, the wisdom of Ma Bagalamukhi within us, within our solar plexus, we develop such a strong self-respect, a healthy self-image, that we will not allow any negative thought, any negative word, or any negative emotion projected upon us, and it will not impact us. She will also remove all negative belief systems that we have been carrying within us, the negative narratives that we say about ourselves. Because now the self-respect has reached to that experience, that level of expertise, that level of refinement, that you don't allow not only yourself but others to also speak badly about you. And that representation, that wisdom is represented, that knowledge is given by Ma Bagalamukhi, which sits in our solar plexus, and also in correlation with the solar plexus, she's represented with yellow. We offer marigold to her, we offer yellow dupattas to her, because she represents that power that yellow holds, that self-respect holds. From the solar plexus, the divine feminine energy comes even down towards the sacral chakra or the sex chakra. Now, in my meditative experiences, I have been told that it is not at the sex chakra or the sacral chakra. It is right below the navel. There's a point, energy point, where the sex energy travels up to get stored, and the navel energy gets stored too. So there's an energy point between the navel and the sex chakra, somewhere towards the navel. That is where our next wisdom sits, which is Ma Matangi. Ma Matangi's representation is very Soumya, smiling beautifully, holding a parrot and a veena. She talks about how do we assimilate the wisdom, the lessons we are learning in our life. How do we digest them? And that is why it stays in around the navel. She also talks about, are we ready with our skill sets, with the physical strength, with the emotional strength, with the mental strength to really magnetize a goal within our life? And the knowledge and the wisdom that we need for it to prepare our body, to prepare our mind, and to prepare our soul comes from the great, great Saraswati goddess Matangi. The Saraswati we pray to is a somber version, is a generalized version for public of Matangi. One thing we have to understand, that Mahavidhyas are the only source of divine feminine energy. All the goddesses that we see and we pray to are just a revised version of those goddesses, because these are very raw, very raw and very clear, absolutely intense version of divine feminine energy. And if it is very difficult, because they are so intense and powerful, it is very difficult to work with them directly. And hence, for general public, the goddesses have been refined, their energies have been somberized to work with. For example, Saraswati. But that if you want to go beyond the knowledge of the Saraswati, which is, Saraswati is the knowledge of creative expression. You want to learn music, you will go to Saraswati. You want to do painting, Saraswati is a very good energy. But when you want to create something in the energy form, to manifest and materialize, the proportions you want to tap into, what needs to be done, what kind of energy has to be mixed with what, that wisdom, that subtle wisdom comes from Matangi. And that is why Matangi is known as Tantric Saraswati, because in Tantra, you are not dealing with something physical. In Tantra, you are basically using different elements of energies to curate something that gives birth to a physical reality. Right? For example, we pick up sindoor, it represents certain element. We pick up lemon, it represents certain elements, and we bring them together to create something that is physical. And that inner wisdom, the source of that inner wisdom, is Matangi. From this wisdom, from this energy of assimilation in our navel or sex chakra, the energy moves down to our spine. And there resides the beautiful Kamala. Kamala is the goddess of materiality. Everything that is matter, our connection to Mother Earth. She is basically the goddess, the Tantric Lakshmi, and she represents a continuous flow or exchange of energy with the physical presence, with the physical world. The people who want to pursue spirituality, at the same time stay attached to the physical world, Kamlatmika or Kamala is the right energy to work with, because she keeps you grounded. She keeps your feet anchored in the physical reality, in the material world. At the same time, slowly transits you to every divine goddesses achieving liberation. So the grounding experience comes from Kamala. She's also because she's the tantric version of Lakshmi, she is highly worked with manifestation processes, creation of goals from energy into matter. Now, the question comes is that I love material possessions. So what should I do? Should I just go to Kamlatmika and do it? Yes. I would say yes. If you are inclined towards materiality, and if you feel that Kamlatmika is the first goddess you want to work with, you must go. But you need to understand that This cycle of energy from Kali to Tara to Shodashi, Bhuvaneshwari Bhairavi, Chinnamasta Dhumavati, Matangi Kamlatmika. It is one cycle of manifestation. As a desire to achieve a 4 BHK house, that inspiration comes to you. It does not exist. It is not there. It is abstract. Just like Kali, just like Tara, it's abstract. You cannot see it. Slowly, you start making a plan towards that. Okay, if I need a house that has 4 rooms, it will cost me this much. And to achieve, say, 5 crore rupees, I have to figure out how in 5 years I can get that money, how much time I have to put where to get that money, what expenses should I reduce now so that I can save even more. And eventually we trail down from that to every goddess, coming down ultimately to Kamlatmika and bringing that goal into realization. But the beautiful part of it is that once you achieve that goal, after experiencing this goal for like 1 year or 2 years, there's another desire that comes, which is higher than this. Which is when Kamlatmika, the goddess at the root chakra, inspires us to again move up to the counter energy and dissolve, find liberation and a detachment from the previous goal and start a new journey of goal. And while we keep doing this back and forth between all the goddesses, all the wisdoms, we keep refining our systems, we keep learning our lessons, hence adding to our soul's wisdom, hence evolving. So chasing a goal in spirituality is not wrong. But we must understand the difference between chasing and attracting. When we attract, we also inculcate the wisdom. We also invite this divine energy within us to be a part of us. It's not like I ask you to do a totka and you go and do that and things happen. No, it will never happen like that. That's all temporary solutions. What will really work is when we inculcate the wisdom within the path that has been showed to us by these 10 Mahavidyas, so that our chakras can grow bigger and brighter. When the chakras will grow bigger and brighter, it will automatically bring in a new reality. One of the key features in Mahavidyas is these Mahavidyas can actually work without any masculine counterpart. What does it mean? They are complete on their own. How? The counter energy of Kali is Kamlatmika. So once you achieve a goal, Kamlatmika, after some time, after experience this goal for a year or 2, Kamlatmika will push you to achieve the next goal, push you to achieve a higher goal. And to achieve the next level of the goal, you must detach from the first goal. And that detachment comes from Kali. Because you liberate yourself. You say that, okay, I have this house, but this is not enough. So let me not obsess over it. And maybe find strength to sell it, get that money, get more money, and add to it and build a house which is 5 BHK now. So that space of finding liberation from a previously achieved goal is an inspiration that is given by Kamlatmika, which in turn is a process to work with Kali. This is how they complete each other or the counter energies. For example, Tara is counter to Matangi. That is why Tara is known as Tantric Higher Saraswati, but at the same time, which comes from higher knowing, which we cannot look into facts. And Matangi is known as the digested wisdom. The wisdom that we can digest, we can absorb. We are ready to assimilate. So they counter each other, they complement each other, and they whenever we work with Matangi, Matangi will slowly guide us. Very gently, she will guide us to a process of detachment. Because the only way to balance it is through Tara. So these energies of Mahavidhyas are highly correlated with our manifestations. These energies of Mahavidyas are highly correlated with the chakras. And these energies are not to be worshipped, but to learn from and allow that wisdom to come within our system so that the chakras can evolve, and thereby us evolving and us achieving the highest infinite potential that is represented by Divine Feminine. That is why Divine Feminine is known as a creative force. It is a creative force, and creative force means change. It means transformation. Creation only happens once you have destruction. So these energies will bring those patterns out, we dissolve them, and then we reformulate the energy and make our chakras bigger. The idea of me sharing this knowledge that was given to me around 6 months ago or 8 months ago is to make you guys understand that no god, no goddess can itself do anything unless we make a choice to bring them into our system. They are not idols to be prayed. They are not idols to be kept away from us. The idea is to accept and embrace them within our system. And that is one of the reasons Kamakhya has, as a yoni, as a womb, has expounded itself into Dus Mahavidyas, or 10 great wisdoms, because wisdom is not something that you keep on a shelf. Wisdom is something that you bring into our life and implement it every single day to grow and evolve. To go deeper into this session, in the next segment, we will talk about the law of universes, the law of manifestations that help us bring into reality from an energy perspective, from a scientific perspective, from a pattern perspective that we observe. And then we will correlate these goddesses into these patterns, so that once we understand the universal pattern, once we understand the goddess, as a third step, we will move into invoking the energy within our hearts, invoking the energy of, say, Kamlatmika into our basic chakra, invoking the energy of Matangi into our navel, invoking the energy of Bhairavi into our willpower. And that would be our first step into generating these wisdom inside and hence achieving our goal. I really hope this helped somebody clear their doubts. If they want to experience the goddesses, the divine creative force, the divine feminine energy that is responsible for everything. I'm also planning to do a session to connect with Kamakhya. Please let me know in the comment section if you want to experience that session. And if there is any suggestion on the content, please let me know. Please like, share, and subscribe. The idea is the divine feminine has to rise for us all as a universal collective energy to take a rebirth. We are moving out from Kali Yuga into Satyug, and that can only happen when the rise of divine feminine energy can truly come into place. And the rise will not happen by some external Shakti coming into our lives. It will be our bodies, our mind will be used as instruments to bring that reality into picture. We will have to change ourselves and thereby inspiring other people to change. And I think that was the biggest message from my 9-month sadhana that I've been receiving. And that is the reason I have started this channel, is because the Shakti has to rise, not just within me or within few people who are watching this, but as a collective, the Shakti has to rise, and Earth has already been transiting. So it's time for us to transit along with the Earth. I will invoke Ma Kamakhya again to bless you. Om. Kamakhya kama sampanne Kameshwari hara priyam Kamana dehi me nityam Kameshwari namostute Kamakhya kama sampannam Kameshwari hara priyam Kamana dehi me nityam Kameshwari namostute. Thank you everyone for joining in. Hope this helps.